Hello everyone. Today we'll be analyzing 3 different UFO clips as well as sharing with you Legos. Yes, Legos. On Analyzing Today's UFO Clips, episode 28. Good day, UFO lovers. For the first timers to this channel, a very quick note I like to lead with is that in this series, we analyze UFO clips and pictures that you or anyone else can find on the internet. Because, well, it's part of the fun of the UFO subject. And yes, we all want to get to the bottom of this UFO mystery, because we all think it's important. But watching UFO clips online is, well, entertaining. And here we analyze them because, well, we love the UFOs, right? Also, please consider subscribing to the channel. I know it may not mean a lot to you, but it means everything to me, so thanks in advance. Our first clip is an oldie but goodie, and it's kind of long, so I'll be cutting it short, but I'll link the full 5-minute video down below so you can watch the whole thing. Let's watch it first, and then discuss.
Holy shit. Hey Rhonda, look at this. Come here. What is this thing? Hurry! Something going into that cloud right now. It's right in front of it. Geez, this is better than yesterday's footage.
Which cloud? That one right in front of it. Underneath it, on the side.
Right towards the bottom of that one, right there.
You still see it?
No, it disappeared in that damn cloud. God, that thing was huge.
I want to see.
Holy shit, hockey puck. Hockey puck flying right over town. Come on, please. Rhonda, I got one over a cloud. He's chasing the UFO, I bet.
Now, believe it or not, what I like most about this video is not actually the unidentified flying object in the video, but actually what I like most is the human aspect of this entire thing. The way this man reacts to seeing what he believes is a UFO is to me 100% genuine. I don't know you, the viewer, but sometimes when we see strange things happen before our eyes, all we have left to prove is a story. And this man, judging by his reaction, saw something that he considered to be extraordinary, and not only does he have a story, but he also has a VHS video of what he witnessed, so that's, well, pretty awesome. So let's take a look at what we're seeing. In the video, what we appear to see is a shiny or glowing flying object in the sky that seems to go into the cloud adjacent to it while this man is recording. He calls for his partner to come take a look as well, but by the time she gets there, it's too late as the object has disappeared into the clouds. One thing that really stood out to me when I saw this was when he said, "Wow, that thing is huge," which is something we don't really get to appreciate on video, but his eyewitness testimony tells us this must have been something of considerable size. In clip 2, he starts off by saying, "hockey puck." So from that we kind of know what the shape of the object is that he's looking at. But what do we get to see from the video? Well, if you remember, those VHS tapes from a while back didn't give us very much detail on faraway things. But what we do come away with is the speed at which this thing moves. It's moving at a pretty considerable rate of speed. In the third clip, we only get to see him recording a jet, and while you may think that doesn't give us very much information about the incident, it actually kind of does. For one, we get to see the size of the recorded jet as it flies by, and how you can clearly tell that it's an airplane of sorts, as opposed to the tiny object he was filming earlier. You can also hear the plane making noise as it flies by, meaning that the camera can actually pick up the sound of an aircraft flying overhead. But in the previous clip, there was no airplane sound as the hockey puck flew over. The man recording then makes a comment that the jet is probably chasing the UFO. Just a really interesting video, made by someone who appears to be just a normal guy who was seeing strange activity over his town of Tempe, Arizona. What do you guys think? Arizona is a hotspot for UFO activity. So did somebody actually capture something amazing here? Or do you think there's another explanation? This video is so old that maybe it's already been debunked. Let me know in the comments down below if you know anything more about this. Next is a clip from 2003, and yes, we're going back to Arizona. This time, Phoenix. Let's watch the clip first and then discuss.
U.S. government to investigate just what or who is invading our skies. The Phoenix saucer was taped by resident Jeff Willis as it flew extremely close to his home, posing real danger like the Chicago airport disc.
Right when I hit record, at that second, the object was passing straight over the top of my house. And what I got on tape was a disc-shaped object turned on its side with the dome this way, the bottom part this way as it flies over my house. It suddenly does a U-turn and then jumped about 1.5 miles in like a matter of a half a second to where I couldn't even see it anymore.
This week, experts at NASA who say that clear footage like Willis's of a UFO displaying flight capabilities beyond our own is needed for a meaningful study have been called in by Paranormal News to view Willis's tape. But airline pilot and UFO researcher Jim Carant is sure it's time for leaders in Washington to get involved as well.
If I had to single out some single footage that I would bring in for congressional hearings, it would probably be Jeff Willis's tape with the flying dome craft. It has been analyzed enough by very high-tech equipment to say there's something there. It is metallic and it's definitely anti-gravity type craft. Is it ours? I don't know.
So what do you think? Arizona has seen its fair share of strange happenings in the sky, like the Phoenix lights, and this one to me is another one. Just by looks alone, one has to think that this video is probably one of the most credible of its kind. A close shot of what appears to be your typical UFO-looking saucer flying straight overhead and disappearing behind a building. The video clearly shows something highly metallic, floating with no signs of propulsion, no rotors, no wings or jets, so you're left wondering what it could be. Could this be maybe one of these advertising balloons? Well, we have to take into account that these UFO-shaped balloons probably would fly in a more spinning or wandering motion, as in the case of the Balloon Boy incident, if you guys remember that one, where a couple hoaxed that their kid flew off in a balloon that they made. Balloons seem to not have a very stable flight motion to them. And in the Phoenix video, you get to really see something that looks pretty solid, very metallic, and you can tell it floats by pretty smoothly. It looks symmetrical, and the disc shape around it seems much sharper than the round edges found on balloons. And another thing that's worth mentioning is the belly first movement, which is consistent with some claims out there about how they actually fly. Further disproving that it's a balloon, I think, is the eyewitness testimony that it did a U-turn then flew off into the sky very quickly and upwards. If we watch the video, you really can't make out the movement because it's grainy camcorder footage. But if what the witness says is true, then we know balloons don't really do this type of thing in a stable way. I don't know what you guys think of this footage. Again, it's very old. Maybe it's been debunked, but one thing to finally note is that it seemed pretty convincing to the airline pilot. Let me know what you think. Is this video real? Let me know in the comments down below. Next, we're going to be looking at an interesting find on Google Earth. Now, just so you know, I'm not convinced this is a UFO or a strange craft, but it's still worth taking a look. So we use our handy Google Maps and whisk away to beautiful Bermuda, more specifically to the Bermuda Aquarium, Museum, and Zoo. And as we spin around in this tropical scene, all of a sudden we get to see something, well, that looks like a UFO. Let's go ahead and zoom in and take a look. By looks alone, this flying blur looks like a typical UFO saucer shape. It's got a top section, a middle disc section, and the bottom, like in many claimed UFO photos, like this one here. But you know what? We've actually seen this type of thing in the past. And I would go out on a limb to say that it's probably a bird zooming by the camera. To me, what gives it away is the point here at the end, which looks like maybe a beak or tail feathers of a bird that's traveling pretty quickly. Notice this photo, and let's say that the bird is raising his wing just slightly. Now let's give it a motion blur, and you get a pretty similar shape. A different bird might have given us a more similar shape to what was captured here on Google Maps. But you gotta admit, it's still a pretty interesting photo, and we really can't say with 100% certainty that it actually is a bird. Have you guys seen my last Google Earth video? I'll link it above and in the description down below, because disc-like things do sometimes get captured on these interactive maps. Anyways, go ahead and check out that video if you have a chance, because it's also a very compelling photo. And of course, let me know what you think of all these Google Map images in the comments down below. Next is something fun. I was unaware of this, but apparently the Lego company lets you submit ideas for toys, and a couple of people have some awesome UFO ideas that they sent to the company. Just look at these images. This one's called UFO Close Encounter, done up by Alex News, and it's just simply wonderful. Tell me you wouldn't buy it, build it, and put it somewhere on your desk. It's absolutely awesome. Then there's this one called Flying Saucer UFO The Sports Model, done by Diving Faces. And it looks to be modeled after Bob Lazar's description of the UFO he supposedly worked on. Notice the 3-seat formation, like Lazar described, and it even comes complete with the 3 gravity amplifiers below. So inventive, so cool, and I hope that one day Lego decides to sell these, or heck, just tell us how to build one for ourselves. And that'll do it for today's episode. If you haven't done so, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of these videos. Until next time, this is Jesse. Let's keep our eyes open for more cool UFO content because we love the UFOs. Till next time.